Esade is our host today. We shouldn't be just listening to a list of problems that we have in the Middle East. We should be looking forward. We should be looking for a way out of this succession of crises that we have in the Middle East. Some of you may wonder why we are having this discussion that looks political in a place like this, in a school of business, in the leading school of business in Spain. It's my understanding that Esade has always got in mind the importance of geopolitics.
The old era of the Arab dictators introduced to us Al-Qaeda because of the tyranny, oppression, jails, marginalization, and everything else.
The lack of sense of sharing power, the lack of sense of sharing anything, is to me one of the big difficulties that have to be overcome. But I mean, the situation is serious, very serious. ISIS is a very dramatic situation.
The actors of the Arab Spring did lack the experience and the knowledge of how politics and the affairs of the world function. And they were left alone to face two major problems. The first one is domestic collapse of the state. And the second one, actually, the regional forces of counter-revolutions and the international skepticism about the arrival of these kind of new humans who we don't know exactly what do they think about life.
For Europeans, we have been paying for many, many years this provisional structure of a Palestinian state. Does it make any sense to continue supporting a provisional institution if this institution ever is going to be real? And I think this idea that has started, or this movement that has started with Sweden recognizing the Palestinian state, that has moved into the parliament of the UK recognizing the Palestinian state, which has come to the French recognizing the Palestinian state, which has come to the Spanish recognizing. I think here is a movement that may change the dynamics.
The Palestinian issue also, I cannot resist but comment on it. I mean, I understand your point of view, and I respect, of course, your experience in that regard. The Middle East today is not the Middle East a few years ago. Why? Let us start with Hamas as a movement. Hamas is a national Palestinian movement. National, that's important point. To go back to your point about the nation state. It means everyone joins Hamas should be a Palestinian. Hamas does not accept Chechenians, South Africans, or Latin Americans to join and fight under its borders. So it does respect a concept of nationalism. ISIS does not. The current reality in Palestine, especially the mosque, the Jerusalem affair that's taking place yesterday and the day before yesterday during the last few weeks, will trigger something important. Will trigger an Islamic feeling worldwide that cannot be accommodated by Hamas but could be accommodated by ISIS. My fear is ISIS/Palestine will be formed, and that will be the end of Hamas as a national movement, and it would be a nightmare of Israel. The Palestinians and the Israelis, it means the Arabs and the Jews in that territory, should sit down and should find a settlement that could allow them to live in that land and to share it properly on a democratic basis, on equal right of a human existence, rather than on national or religious foundations.
I agree with you on the beautiful picture that you make. The only thing I want to enter into debate is to have a step in the right direction and make it credible. For the moment, we don't have anything credible because there's no sufficient relationship between Israelis and Palestinians, which are the basic elements to begin.
The Middle East has different DNA. Should grow from within, should has its own problems, cure it, has its own reform philosophies and ideas and ideologies.
Which element of hope you both find in the Middle East?
Your Highness, you start with hope.
The people.
I think the young generation. The people, absolutely, but the youth amongst the people.
With this, I will ask you for an applause for our speakers, and thank you all for coming to this debate.